Happy Saturday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead, another episode of You've Gotta Be Sha Tinning Me. I am joined as always by Mr. Matt Carlson. Matt, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing okay. This is a little bit different time slot for us, so this is more like Saturday morning cartoons instead of late Friday night degeneracy. But you know, Kerr is on, so that's something to bet. There's always degeneracy to be had, no matter the time of day. So
Yeah, we had I had dinner plans last night, so we had to kind of shift stuff around, and then we were gonna try and do something live tonight, and then I remembered I have my game night tonight, so um, yeah, I had cocktails last night. I'm gonna be having beer tonight and having coffee this morning because yeah, it's just a little earlier than we normally do. We've done a couple of these, I think,
yeah,
in the past, but yeah,
you
we've
find
been
a way.
pretty exactly right. We always got to get on there, but yeah, what's been going on this week? Anything fun? You got anything fun planned for Memorial Day weekend?
Not really. Might hit up a brewery, which we don't do all that often with two kids anymore. Other than that, just it's where I am. It's been cold and rainy. It's like we hit fall all of a sudden again. So just kind of waiting for
Mm-hmm.
the weather to warm up. Can't really do too much otherwise. But yeah, otherwise just watching you cash bets at Happy Valley and hanging out.
I'm still like extremely upset at myself that I left Zach off in that last leg, and that's what cost me. But luckily, I was able to get that win in Quinella there on what has become my pet in Harmony and Blessed. So that's not that was a nice little hit there. But um, yeah, we I kind of looked at this card, and um, it's definitely a card of Sha
I
Tin.
I haven't looked too deep into the other races yet. I think I looked from race 8 on, and I'm not really a huge fan of anything. So maybe the earlier part of the card's a place to be. But
Yeah, yeah, but we'll go ahead and talk through this. So we're gonna start with the Indigenous Handicap. I had bad news for uh, any Brittany Wong fans out there, but she got suspended for I believe reckless riding or something. Was it at Happy Valley that it happened? I think.
I forget when it is. The worst part about it is I think her birthday was recently too, which is the best angle in racing.
Oh
I
no,
can't even use it. So
I know. I was looking at because like it's a 1,000 meter race, so I'm like, all right, where is she? Wait a second. Why is no one riding her this week? Okay, and so then I look at like the chart right that shows, and I don't see her. So I had to go up to the Hong Kong website, and yeah, she's suspended, and someone else is suspended, but it wasn't anyone of
it's
note.
very easy to catch suspensions. I think
Well,
if they
like
handle some,
Purton and
yeah,
Bowman both have suspensions coming up. Like
yeah,
they've deferred them, so they just deferred them. I think to in the summer so they can go on holiday somewhere. I don't know, but
if yeah, I mean if U.S. racing were held to the same standards as Hong Kong racing, I think we'd have those like those robotic camel jockeys, like those
mm,
but who knows?
well, I mean, we talked a little bit about this on our live stream on Thursday, but there's there was the Steve Asmussen interview with Steve Bick where he just like tore into and I don't think he like I said I don't think he was necessarily tearing into Rispoli and being like he's a bad rider or anything like that, but basically saying like this is the steward's fault because they allow this stuff to happen and no one ever gets punished,
Yeah.
and so riders are take these chances because there's no punishment for it.
Yeah, I mean, look, hey, I do think Hong Kong handles it the right way, right? They punish the jockey after the fact. I mean, should Rispoli be suspended for that ride? Yeah, maybe, but they don't punish the betters, right? And for sure, you know, you can't say that journalism deserved to lose that race, and you're not going to punish the people who bet journalism just because Rispoli did something stupid. So, find him, suspend him, don't change the race. That's probably the best way to handle it all around. And but apparently they don't do that either. So, of
Yeah, although Steve had to bring up old wounds, and he
course you
mentioned he's like, can you imagine being Luis Saez and seeing that and realizing you got disqualified at maximum security for less? And I was like, you jackass, why you got to bring that up? But And at one point, I let it go. At one point, I let it go. And it's funny. I've told this story before, but like, there was the first five-figure score I had was a pick five I hit at on Mother's Day at Belmont a couple years ago, and it I think it was like in race two or three. I had to survive a inquiry. And what was funny is I remember I think everyone else in the Discord was like on the horse that would have got put up because I had some like it was like some like 20 to 1. It was like one of those like rained off cards. It was like a 15 or 20 to 1 shot with I think it might have been like Katie Davis aboard or something, and it was like like a 5 or 6 horse field, and it was like the biggest field in like the whole card. Like it was just like some, and I survived it, and it got my biggest score. But I never think about that. I don't think about maximum security.
You only remember the
Because
ones that go against you, right? Because I think in Hong Kong this year, I think there've been a grand total of maybe two or three horses taken down, and I think I've been on all of them. Like I think those both cost me money. So hey,
it happens. But we're gonna start here, race five or race nine. Sorry, 1,000 meters. No Brittany Wong, so I had to actually handicap. We got a full field of 14. Matt, I'll let you start. Where did you land here?
um, yeah, this one's tough. I mean, inherently, I don't love 1,000 meter races just because too much can happen. Look, I don't know what happened to Justifying last out, and I think he's favored in here. And I mean, look, everything's kind of stacked against Justifying right now. I think he's, drawn in the one post, which is where you don't want to be. Again, it really didn't probably have too many excuses last out, just ran a complete clunker. Uh, but that first race was so good, it's hard to not at least perk up and say, okay, maybe this horse deserves another chance, right? Um, if he runs back to what that first race was, he should win this race by open lengths, which is hard to do at 1,000 meters. But yeah, it just looked that good. I don't know what to do with Justifying. Again, I think right now he's sitting at like 3 to 1 last I checked. That's the right price, I think. If not a little high, it probably will come down. It's hard to leave Justifying off, but there's a lot of questions in here. I just really don't like anybody else in this race. There's no one that looks all that fast. Because of that, I think the other two places I looked to were two of the first time starters in here, and Celestial Hero in the 4 and Metro Power in the 9. Both of those horses are trialing really well. I think they'll provide value. I think they're both sitting at double digit odds right now. Of those, even though Metro Power, I think, won the shared trial that they had recently, I think I like Celestial Hero a little bit better. I think for a couple reasons, right? Metro Power had Ellis Wong up in those trials. I think those bug jockeys, especially like if you see trial times, like trial performances, sometimes those bug jockeys really amplify those times, right? Because they're running so short. It's like that weight break just, completely throws off timing and throws off results and things like that. And I do think if you look at the race, right, like that was even at Happy Valley, so it was around a turn, which they're not running today. And I do think Celestial Heroes kind of hung out wide and showed better kick and things like that. So I think you'll get a lot better, or not a lot better price, but I think, if you had to have me choose one of those firsters, I would go with Celestial Hero. I think if I were to win bet in this race, it would be on Celestial Hero. So really, I think mostly through Justifying and Celestial Hero. I'll throw in Metro Power, and then the only other horse that I would potentially want to use, although there's a lot of question marks, is the 14 in Blazing Wind. And I think this is just kind of that confluence of circumstances of me being like, okay, what are the things that I normally bet? I like betting the 14 draw. He's in the 14 draw. I like betting the lowest weight in these races. He's got the lowest weight. I've told you Matthew Chadwick is probably one of the best 1,000 meter jockeys here. He's hit the board 10 out of 25 times overall, 5 wins, 5 places. He's got that. So there's a lot to like on Blazing Wind, who has only tried this one time before. I just don't think, his trials look that good. I think he probably will run better around a turn. I think he probably runs better in class 4, to be honest with you. But it might be worth a use depending on the price. So I'll be a little bit wide in here as I usually am on these 1,000 meter races. I think the 4 and the 10 will be my A's, and then Metro Power in the 9 and 14 Blazing Wind is my B's. And like always, just trying to get through it because you never know.
Yeah, I hope Justifying takes a lot of money.
Yeah,
Because
if he
I
does,
don't.
he'll probably like flip on the other side of my ticket and not be used, right? Like there's a price point that I want to be at, and I think he's at it right now. But that could swing the other way. So
Yeah, I was gonna try and get around him here. I landed on two other horses. Um, I landed on the two Stellar Express is probably my top pick. Um, he's uh he's kind of got like it's tough, right? Like if you're looking at the PPs, right? You kind of look at this and you're like, wait, like okay, they run this horse at Happy Valley. He's been running 1200. So you got to kind of dig a little deep. But track and distance, he's got 8 starts. He's got a win. He's got 4 seconds. He's got a third, right? He's only missed the board twice in 8 starts. So this horse is a horse that really likes the 1,000 meters at Sha Tin. For some reason, this is a horse that they have not run at the 1,000 meters at Sha Tin in a bit. Gets Abdullah aboard here, and I mean, is drawn okay. Isn't drawn on the rail, but he's kind of drawn mid pack here. So I thought that getting back to the track and distance he can go to, uh, you know, I kind of wonder if they were just like maybe trying to like secretly get him dropped as well, like and get him down here into this back down into class three. I don't know because like it just didn't make a lot of sense the way that they were kind of campaigning him. I didn't think because his lone Hong Kong win was at 1,000 meters. So I'm gonna use him Stellar Express here. I'm also gonna use the five healthy, and I'm taking kind of I'm looking at the track and distance, right? This is another horse that has a win here at this track at this distance. Has got a couple other good races, and I'm taking the Matt Carlson angle. Or is James McDonald? Okay, I'm gonna bet that horse. So we get James McDonald aboard here, and I will be we'll be talking about him a little bit later with another horse that I kind of like, but when I looked at Speed Pro on this horse as I load it up, um, he does have a where are we at? He does have a race that definitely fits in here with the other group. So those are kind of the two that I'm going to be looking at. Obviously, justifying. I mean, his first race. I mean, is I think the fastest that anybody's run. I'm curious, did you give a look at all to the three Dream Winner in this race? Because I didn't know what to do. Because obviously he won last time, um, kind of from that, the kind of bad draw. Now he's drawing better, but he's also, he's gaining 5 pounds here. And he won at 66-1 last time, right? So I don't know if this is if you didn't go to the wedding, don't go to the funeral kind of thing. But I thought the three Dream Winner that last race fits on anything I can see, but I didn't really I didn't really know what to do. I mean I guess I'll have him as a B on some tickets, but I just don't know if maybe last time was the time you wanted to have him and not now you just kind of stay away. But
I think so. He looks really slow on my stuff, whereas I think Stellar Express actually has a lot of races that do fit way back in here. I think if you look at Stellar Express, like he has wins in Class Two,
yeah,
and I think it's a good call out of you. Um, Dream Winner, if you have horses like that that go off at huge odds and then win and then have to pick up a lot of weight because of it, especially horses that have kind of 15 races under their belt. He's 4 for 8 at the distance, so you can make some rationale there and say, hey, clearly this is what he wants to do if he wants to do anything. He just doesn't look like he maps all that well. But hey, I talk against horses all the time and then they end up surprising. So it's 1,000 meters, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. Figs can get a little bit wonky just based on the way they run. You know, I think, like I said, weight and post kind of have, or weight and like pace have a bigger impact on final figs for these flat 5 furlong races. They're hard.
all right, let's move on here. Race 10, the Vengeance of Rain handicap. We're gonna be going 2,000 meters here, and I mean, you already know who I'm on in this race.
Who are you on in this race?
You know,
I don't know who
let,
you're on in this race. I should, but I don't.
Live and Let Live, the number 7,
Oh yeah, of course.
looks to be Lone Speed in this race. Went wire to wire last time out, going 2000, and was that was the first time this horse went 2000, and maybe they just kind of found what this horse wants to do. The bug stays aboard, and still keeping the 3 pound allowance here. So I like this horse here a lot, especially because there's just not a ton of pace in here. I mean, there's not any pace. Like you try and look through the last couple of races for any kind of ones, and you're not seeing them. And I don't think that this is necessarily a very, very strong group of horses here. So yeah, I really do think that Live and Let Live is going to be. I think he's going to be tough to beat here on the front end, and so he's my lone A in this spot. You kind of just go back and look, and even at 1800, this is a horse that was kind of a handful going that. Now I'm curious what kind of price we get on this horse. Was was a fair price last time out, right? Was 9 to 1, which in these big fields is usually like fourth or fifth choice, right? Like we're not talking like some big long shot or anything, but so yeah, so curious to see what kind of price we get on. But this is gonna be my lone A. And then the form horse, I think, in here is going to be the 8 Gold Master. Is going to be one I'm going to use as well. Had 2 wins in Class 4 and has gone back to back second place finishes in Class 3. I just kind of think that he's coming out of that same race, but once again, just looking at like what speed is in here. I just think that this might be one of those cases where he's just going to sit that golden trip, sit in second or third off the speed, and he might just be fast enough to, go ahead and overtake and win. But those are really the only 2 horses I'm going to use in this race. I'm going to use the 7 Live and Let Live, trying to go wire and wire. And I think if he can't back up that last race, I think Gold Master is going to be the one that's going to be able to pass him up. Where did you kind of land here?
Yeah, I ended up on Goldmaster. I think I saw a little bit similar to what you saw in Live and Let Live. I guess my problem was that's kind of the exact trip he got last time, right? Like if you were gonna get that trip and that wiring, like slow pace, lightweight, etc., like that was the gold trip, right? That's as best as that horse can do. Now he has to move up in weight, and he's breaking from the 13 post. And if you remember, right, like 2,000 meters at Sha Tin, it's a very short run up to that turn. So he's even if he's low in speed, he's gonna have to fly from that outside post to make the lead. Even if some horse breaks okay, he may get caught wide out there. I just think because of those circumstances, he doesn't map all that well to me, and I don't know what
Mm,
price you get, but I was willing to fade just on the fact that, like, hey, last race to me was it. He's not going to get a better trip than that. And there's no possible way you can get any better circumstance than you got last time. I liked Goldmaster. I mean, if you watch that replay, right, like the horse is kind of closing in a little bit. He just can't get there because of that slow pace early, right? And because, again, he had to break from that 10 post. So I think it did benefit horses that were inside that day for sure. Like it always does at 2,000 meters. If you're drawn inside, it's just such an advantage here because you are going to get caught wide into that turn and have to like kind of fly around. Um, and so, look, I think Goldmaster is the most talented horse in here. You know my thoughts on Ed Zenny, but I do think, as I've said before, he's a very serviceable 2 turn jockey. I think that's what he's actually best at. He's better than the 1 turn races, which is weird for a jockey in Hong Kong. But yeah, I mean, he just maps better than a lot in here. I don't like the price at all, but you know, there's nowhere really else that I'd want to go in this field. The only other horse that I want to use in here as a B is the 10 Master Trillion. Trying 2 turns for the first time, he is drawn poorly, so that's kind of stacked against him. That said, he's been making up some ground in the slower paces, at least down in Class 4. Maybe that can translate in surprise up in Class 3. I'm not sure. That's obviously a huge ask, but if you're looking for anything in here, maybe that's it, right? Um, did have Morera up aboard the last 2 out, which is kind of a weird thing to see.
mm,
I don't know that Zhao rode any other horse twice in a row on that. Had Zach up before that. I mean, look, I think they think this horse is talented. And Poon has actually hit, he's got 3 wins out of 12 races at 2,000 meters. So he's actually a really serviceable 2 turn jockey as well. And at some point, you see a lot, especially at those 2 turn races. There's jockeys who just have never kind of hit the board, and you see a lot of jockeys who do really well at it. So maybe. I think if I had to use a B in here, the price is right on Master Trillion. But it's it's really weird. race. I think Goldmaster is obviously pretty heavily favored, and then I think your second choice right now is sitting at like 9-1. So the board behind Goldmaster is very flat. And if you could find some value, if you don't like Goldmaster, you're going to get a price on whomever else you like in here. It's just hard to really say, hey, who do I like? So
Yeah. What prices are you currently getting on the 7 and 8 in this race?
let me bring it up. The nice part about doing this Saturday morning is we actually get
Early odds, yeah.
yeah, exactly. So which can change. I mean they do change. But
Mm-hmm.
let's see. Nope, that's Ireland. Uh Goldmaster's currently sitting at 2.3, so what is that? Like 7-5 about? And Live and Let Live is currently at 23-1.
Oh, hey, I'll take that. I mean, I don't
23
think
to
many
1's the
get
right
that.
price for sure.
Yeah, like I said, like I was kind of surprised that he went off. Um, or not surprised, but I mean, he went off at 10-1 last time. So I'm guessing that like that's kind of the price that we're gonna get here. Um,
I think probably I think, I mean, weight and draw get factored massively, right? So if you think, hey, in this case, I don't mind the 13 draw and I don't mind the weight because of the way that this race maps out, you'll get value because I do think those odds are reflected, right? Like the fact that you have basically the same exact field going off and now he's double the price after winning last race is pretty telling how the computers see these things and how they factor those factors in.
all right, race 11, the Oriental Express Handicap. We're gonna be going 1,400 meters, 7 furlongs, the old unicorn distance. Where do you land here, Matt?
Yeah, I'm going to pull a little bit of what we talked about last week in the thing that I said, hey, well, I never do that, but I'm going to pull the old ITP, like flip your A's and B's a little bit here, just based on prices. The two horses that I think I'll use as A's just based on price alone are the 12 Kaying Superb. I think he's been running well since bumping back down to class 4. So obviously there's a question bumping up to class 3, but I like that he's kind of versatile. You've seen him send forward, you've seen him take back. Um, has hit a fair bit of trouble last off winning. He got checked, and I think arguably, given he's a 5-year-old horse, could be improving a little bit, right? So hey, maybe one that can kind of continue his winning ways and bump it up to class 3, right? Hoping he's one of those horses that crosses the line, kind of figures it out, right? You get a little extra bit of feed, you get some, taken care of a little bit better afterward, horses like that. And, they start running a little bit better and you can kind of see them string wins along once they figure it out. So I'm hoping Kaying Superb is kind of that type of horse that can just kind of continue those winning ways. And, like I said, Maps Well can kind of slot in from wherever and figure out a trip. So I like that. The other horse that I'll use is more of just a hunch play. And, you know, I think I'd bet any mule with James McDonald aboard at 30-1. So why not this mule? Like it's weird to me that James McDonald is not riding Super Express. I don't know why, because Super Express, just on my figures, probably maps the best in here, right? Like he is probably the best horse in the 11. That last out figure just kind of stands out and should win. But like, why is Craig Williams riding this and not James McDonald? I don't know. So I'm always willing to use James McDonald as a price. 30-1's the right price on this horse for sure. Maybe. Right. This horse has not shown anything else. He's drawn poorly. He's, ran poorly. His trials don't look great. Using it as an A. There you go.
Mm.
Just, I mean, the price is too good. And then for B's, I think I'm probably on your co-favorites at this point, right? Like I said, Super Express just maps better on paper than a lot of this field. If he kind of backs up that last out effort, I think he could win handily, right? I don't know. I still don't trust Craig Williams, even though he's run really well, oddly, at 1400. And then the 7, South Star, right? I mean, just that horse that's won 2 straight races has kind of never shown anything bad. One of those horses you don't know how good this horse is yet, right? Could still be moving up the ranks, could just kind of continue to run through class 3 and continue to get better and better. And, just one of those horses that maybe the rating can't catch up with fast enough that, is still improving. So I'll use both those. But, again, given I was kind of leaning on Goldmaster and maybe even justifying in the last 2 races, I really don't want to use both co-favorites as A's and just kind of give out that chalk ticket, right? I mean, you've kind of seen, I think more tickets lean on that, especially here. So you just don't get paid out all that well if you kind of lean on favorites throughout.
Yeah, I landed on the 11 Super Express as my top pick in this race. But I kind of took the same or the same thing kind of caught my eye there, right? Is like, all right, well, why is James McDonald not aboard and why is he on the one? So I did use the one as a B anode, just because, I mean, it's pretty clear that, if James McDonald was full time in Hong Kong, it'd be him and Zach and then everybody else. And I think if there was anybody who could take Zach's title, it would probably be James McDonald. But yeah, the fact that he gets up on this one that really doesn't have a ton going for it, um, like I really have no other reason to bet this horse other than the fact that James McDonald's aboard. So I'm going to bet this horse because James McDonald is aboard. Um, and then the other horse I have is like I looked at all the horse you talked about, right? The seven South Star coming in here really really good form. And has won twice with that Xenia board. I don't know how many horses have done that, but this is probably like a Hall of Fame horse if is won twice in a row with that Xenia board. Um, I looked at the 12 Cayenne Superb. I thought maybe the step up in class might be a little tough just because this is a horse that's been in this class before and hasn't really shown much in Class 3. So um, and like the horse just could be getting better, right? So maybe don't want to hold that too much against it. But I wasn't really sure what kind of price we'd get on the 12 coming up in class. But the other horse I'm going to use is the 8 Top Dragon. And this is another one that's jumping up in class, but this is one that's jumping up in class and keeping Zach. And maybe I'm just like having PTSD from last time where I left Zach off in the closing leg of a pick three and it paid boxcars. But Top Dragon's coming in here off a win, right? Took a big step forward, getting Zach aboard, and that race last time out actually fits in figure wise very very well with what the other horses have run in here. Looking at Speed Pro, which is not necessarily super super accurate or anything, but it's a good barometer, I think. Um, Top Dragon's got a 101 last time out. Super Express has got a 102 last time out. And then, like, if you're looking at like lifetime bests, really, the only other one that like has any races that kind of fit would be the 680 light years. Um, and I don't know, maybe this is one that might be worth looking at because now it kind of lost the draw lottery last two times is getting the rail this time. Um, and does have races that fit. So maybe this is another one to maybe look at. But yeah, I'm gonna use those three. I'm gonna use the 11 Super Express. I'm gonna use the 8 Top Dragon, and then we'll go down with James McDonald here on the one on Anode. Anything else in this race?
I don't think so. It's not. It's tough. I mean, like this
Yeah.
is a tough sequence. So, and every time I say that, it tends to chalk out. So,
Where was your extra race at?
I went to the Group One. Not that I love it, but I think I don't know. I consistently try and beat Voyage Bubble. I don't know why. I just keep trying to do it, right? Like, um, and I don't know that I have a huge strong opinion in here because I think Voyage Bubble was probably still the best horse. But I think if there's any questions over that horse, it's the distance, right? I think those, once you kind of hit the 2,000-meter races, he looks a little bit weaker, and so has never tried 2,400. Maybe he's not a mile and a half horse, right? I don't know. Well, we'll find out. But I think there's enough questions where it's like, to me, he looks like more of a miler than a two-turn horse, even though he's probably just better than these horses. And I don't like the price. On paper, I think a horse like Dubai Honor does stand out, but I think Dubai Honor kind of continues just to finish second, right? His run at Sha Tin 4 times and hasn't won yet. So I think is one of those horses that probably looks like, hey, he probably should have won by now if he was going to, and just kind of has never gotten there. I think I took a page out of yearbook then, and I went down to the 9 in Winning Dragon, and I was like, okay, is there a case where this pace can just go really slow, right? And I know that that's kind of what happened last out, right? Like Alexi Bedell got a soft lead and just still kind of couldn't hold on all that well. But hey, maybe the track's playing a little more forward today. Maybe, can kind of just get out there and wheel them around. And I like the price, right? I mean, the horse is currently sitting at 24-1. So I think you get all that. And I think, hey, maybe gets lucky and hangs on here, just trying to get around an otherwise pretty short favorite. So I don't think kind of the best bet. I'm not saying he's gonna win, but if I had to pick anybody else in this field, that's where I'd want to go.
All right. I didn't look at the group one. Instead, I went to I mean, why bet a group one when you can bet class four racing, you know? And the Helene Superstar Handicap, we're gonna go on 1,600 meters. We got the one turn mile here. Um, I landed on the six, Mr. Dapper. Brendan Abdullah gets aboard here, and this is just one, that has been able to this is one that has got a couple of nice races here in this at this level. Has got to win three back with Abdullah aboard, and this is like looking at this race. We don't have a ton of speed once again, right? I mean, maybe the four might go. Um, but like outside of that, I mean, you're looking at a lot of horses that are coming from way back. Mr. Dapper has got some tactical speed. Obviously last time out was able to kind of was able to get pushed up to the lead, and might have been able to win that race if not for being drawn out in the old 14 post there, right? And so Abdullah stays aboard. I think if they use similar tactics here, right, they're now in the four post, so they're going to have, I think, a much easier time this time trying to get up there. And yeah, I just think that you look at this race just completely devoid of speed. Abdullah is a pretty smart rider, and I think he's going to be able to kind of get up there and maybe try and steal this on the front end. And I'm looking at like the just to kind of add on to it, like I look at some of the other contenders in this race. Like I think like the horse like the three Bright Inheritance, right, coming off a win. He lost the draw lottery, right? He's now in the 13 post here. When he last time he won, coming from the two post, was able to save all that ground, and I believe it was a pretty fast pace if I remember correctly. Because I think that they went like 21 and like four in that middle sector there. So, I think he was kind of like able to get set up with that fast fraction and that good draw. Um, I thought he was a player in here, but like he's got a bit against him. And then like once you get past him, there's just like not really any other standout horses. The one Flagship Warrior's got some races that fit. I mean, he draws the rail, but like I don't know, you have to go back to like when Biden was president when I think he had races that fit in here. So and then like the two Setanta, I think is probably better suited for I mean, he's really only run at like Happy Valley, and I don't know. He's tried Sha Tin once, and he finished up the track. So, um, yeah, there's just not a lot of places I think to go in here, and so like yeah, Mr. Dapper, and like for all I know, I haven't looked at odds. I mean, this might even be your favorite at this point, because I wouldn't be surprised if in this race that there's just not a ton going on, and hey, I got some speed here, so I'll go and I'll bet it. But I tried. There
Yeah,
was another race I looked at, and I was trying to be like, oh, maybe I'll get to I'll get to the speed, you know, at and like the speed was so bad, even I couldn't do it. Yeah, currently Mr. Dapper is like 6-1, but he's favored in the place line. So
I
my
was
guess is he might go favored.
I was gonna say, I mean, you typically see that, right? And just a little bit of an interesting way of the way people bet, right? Especially as you get paid for two places on the place line. People kind of will slam speed on the place line, right? Kind of that trip of like, hey, hope he gets out, hope he gets an easy lead and hang on for third, right? And so, like, you even see that a little bit in the horse that I picked in like Winning Dragon, where he's 24-1, but like he's 2-1 on the place line right now, right? Like it's people see, hey, get out there early, and if it's a slow pace, there's a better chance they hang on. So odds don't get reflected the same way. People do treat them as much different bets here. Where I think domestically, it's rare that you won't kind of see that flat. Like, okay, the horse that I'm betting to finish second, finish third, right? Like win, place, and show is all going to be kind of reflected the same way.
Yeah. Anything else on this card?
I haven't looked too deep into it yet, so I need to do that maybe before or after some beverages. So
Hey. Well, that's going to do it for us here on You've Got to Be Sha Tin Me. Obviously, check us out at ontherwronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. I am at Cherry Drink. Matt is at Slow and Steadied. After a few beverages, he will have all his picks up on Twitter, and you can check out his fair value odds. I've been not even close with some of my fair value stuff, so I gotta go back to the old drawing board on some of that. But hey, Happy Valley, man, I've been killing it, so we might need to listen to Andrew Champagne and put out Happy Valley Joy Joy now. So we'll have to talk about that. But
who needs
have a good
jobs?
week. Have a good weekend, guys. Happy Memorial Day. Hopefully your weather is nicer than ours is right now because it's not May.
Good luck, everybody.